When Jesus was born in Bethlehem of Judea in the days of King Herod, behold, Magi from the east arrived in Jerusalem, saying, "Where is the newborn King of the Jews? We saw his star at its rising and have come to do him homage." When King Herod heard this, he was greatly troubled, and all Jerusalem with him. Assembling all the chief priests and the scribes of the people, he inquired of them where the Christ was to be born. They said to him, "In Bethlehem of Judea, for thus it has been written through the prophet, and you, Bethlehem, land of Judah, are by no means least among the rulers of Judah, since from you shall come a ruler who is to shepherd my people Israel." Then Herod called the Magi secretly, and ascertained from them the time of the star's appearance. He sent them to Bethlehem and said, "Go and search diligently for the child. When you have found him, bring me word, that I too may go and do him homage." After their audience with the king, they set out. And behold, the star that they had seen at its rising preceded them, until it came and stopped over the place where the child was. They were overjoyed at seeing the star. And on entering the house, they saw the child with Mary, his mother. They prostrated themselves and did him homage. Then they opened their treasures and offered him gifts of gold and frankincense and myrrh. And having been warned in a dream not to return to Herod, they departed for their country by another way. The Gospel of the Lord.
Praise you, Lord Jesus Christ.
One of the best Christmas gifts that I got this year is this nifty set of binoculars. The person who got them for me thought they'd be good for bird watching or for going on a hike. So far, I've mostly just kept them on my desk, though, so I can look at the snowmobilers going through the fields across the way. No matter how far away something is, it appears right next to you when you look through the binoculars. I think I might start bringing these to Mass so I can see what's going on in the back row. I know you people must sit back there for a reason. If a trusty set of binoculars would certainly have come in handy for the wise men, for the Magi, as they traveled across the desert looking for a newborn king. Sitting up there on their camels, they could have used these binoculars to spy the road ahead, maybe to look for a new campsite every night, to keep a lookout for robbers. Above all, they could have kept the binoculars trained to the heavens so that they could have seen where the star was leading them. Technology has advanced so much that even a rather inexpensive pair of binoculars is already better than the most advanced telescopes that Galileo or some of the early astronomers used to map out the heavens. But the Magi, who are the ancient astronomers of their day, they didn't even have a telescope. All of their observations were done by the naked eye. All of their math was done on the back of an envelope without a calculator. And yet, their observations, they knew the heavens so well, and their calculations were so precise that they knew right away when a new king was born. I was watching a documentary recently about the Star of Bethlehem, and there was a brilliant scientist on this program, and he's been studying the Star of Bethlehem his whole life. And he has this very advanced computer program that lets you go and set the sky back to what it looked like in the Middle East around the time of Jesus' birth. And he's come up with this whole theory about what the Star of Bethlehem might be. It could be maybe something to do with Jupiter, which is the king planet, going through the different constellations. And it would have actually appeared to have been going west leading the Magi towards Jerusalem. And then as they turned south towards Bethlehem, it would have actually appeared to have stopped. Who knows if this guy is right? I mean, we don't know what the Star of Bethlehem was. It could have been a comet or a meteor or a planet. It could have been anything. But the Magi knew. They knew right away, even without all of the fancy technology that we have. Imagine what they could have done if they had something like, never mind binoculars, something like the Hubble telescope. The Hubble telescope has already brought beautiful pictures of galaxies far, far away, right close to us. Imagine what the Magi could have done to discover the beauty and the greatness of God's creation if they had something like that. But they knew that a king was born, and so they set out to meet him. Understandably, with all their curiosity, they wanted to see this new king not just from afar, not just through the stars or through a telescope. They wanted to see him right up close and personal with their naked eye. So they set out to find him. How do we find that newborn king? For all our technology and all our scientific progress and all our inquiry, it's not always easy to find him. Sometimes we look for him in all the wrong places. Sometimes, because of sin, we don't have the clear vision that we need to see God. Sometimes we're very far away from him. And God knows all that. I think that's why he doesn't expect us to try to find him. He comes down to find us. That's what Christmas is all about. It's God coming down to us. He bridges that gap between us. We don't have to go and search for him. He comes to us. In fact, if you want to see Jesus, we don't have to go very far at all. We don't even have to go to Bethlehem. Bethlehem comes to us at every Mass. It's interesting that the word Bethlehem in Hebrew means house of bread. By being born in Bethlehem, Jesus was giving us a little bit of a clue as to why he came. He came to be our bread of life, to feed and nurture us. At every Mass, when we receive the Eucharist, when we receive the bread that has become his body, we are nurtured and fed by him. And that's the same flesh and blood baby that was in the manger is the very same flesh and blood Jesus who's in the Eucharist. In the Eucharist, Jesus gets closer to us than we could ever imagine, transforming us from the inside out. That's why Jesus was laid in a manger after he was born. What is a manger? It's a place where the animals went to go have their dinner. It's a place of feeding. They went to go eat their hay. Jesus being laid in the manger shows us that he wants to become our food. He wants to get so close to us that he nurtures us and nourishes us each and every day. That's why the mystery of the Mass that we're celebrating right now is really the exact same mystery as Christmas. It's the same mystery. That's why we call it Christmas. It's Christ's Mass. It's the mystery of Christ's presence among us. Jesus wasn't content with just coming to Bethlehem. That wasn't close enough for him. He wanted to come to Lancaster and Whitefield and every other village in which there's a Catholic church. Every little town like that becomes a Bethlehem because Jesus comes into our midst. We don't have to go anywhere to see him tonight. He'll be right here. You won't even need a pair of binoculars to see him, unless you're sitting in the back row maybe, and then you can borrow mine. Jesus has come among us. And what can we do in the face of that amazing mystery other than do what the wise men did when they saw the baby and fall down on our knees and worship? When we adore Jesus in the Eucharist, we're not worshiping a piece of bread because the bread isn't there. We are worshiping Jesus, who is truly God and is truly and fully present here. Oh, come, let us adore him. We open up our treasures and give to him what we have. Maybe not gold and frankincense or myrrh, but we offer him our praises, our thanksgivings, our prayers, our sacrifices. Whatever we have, we give to him. Jesus is a lot like a pair of binoculars. He brings what seems so far away incredibly close to us. He brings the divine life of God right down into our lives, in our hearts, in our homes. Jesus has come among us. He is with us always. Having these binoculars the last few weeks has reminded me of one of the best college classes I ever took. It was an astronomy class. And the college campus had this great big telescope on campus. It was about 3 feet wide in diameter. And we would go out late at night in this class and we would train this telescope to the skies. And it was magical. It was amazing to see the craters of the moon, or to see the moons of Jupiter, or to see the rings of Saturn. These impossibly far objects, suddenly so close. Sometimes God can seem like he is very far away, like he's distant up in heaven, unconcerned with our everyday lives. But through his birth and through the Eucharist, Jesus proves that nothing could be further from the truth. God is closer to us than we are to ourselves. He comes every day into our lives with his help and his grace. He truly is Emmanuel, God with us. We don't need a pair of binoculars. All we need to do is open up our eyes to see him.